Good evening and welcome to Metro's I-105 Express Lanes Construction Update Community Meeting. This evening, we have Spanish interpretation available. If you'd like to listen to this meeting in Spanish, please click on the interpretation icon and select your preferred language. I'd like to introduce our interpreter for the evening, Diana. And here is Jesse Sanchez, who will give instructions in Spanish.
Buenas noches. Esta noche para la presentación contamos con interpretación al español. Para seleccionar el español, haga clic en el icono, en el icono que dice interpretación a la parte inferior de su pantalla, que tiene la forma de un globo. Luego seleccione español para escuchar el audio en español.
Thank you, Jesse. Tonight's meeting is being recorded, and attendees in the audience, your cameras are off and mics are muted. Please note that caption services are available to you using the Zoom feature located at the bottom of your screen. Also, during this meeting, you may submit questions and comments to our project staff via the Q&A icon. We have designated time towards the end of the call for your submissions. As a reminder, Metro's Code of Conduct states, Metro is committed to ensuring all participants can fairly and clearly share ideas, comments, and concerns about this project. To provide a safe and equitable process, we are asking for your help. During this meeting, please respect the format of the meeting and allow everyone an opportunity to comment. Treat fellow community members, agency representatives, Metro staff, and others with respect, and address all comments to Metro staff and consultants. One of Metro's campaigns is the Know Your Rights campaign. All immigrants, regardless of status, are entitled to basic rights and protections under the law. Understanding these rights is the first step towards safety, empowerment, and accessing essential resources. Key support services available: free or low-cost legal services, language accessible assistance, resources for navigating immigration issues, protection from fraud, discrimination, and abuse.
Tyra,
For
pardon
more,
the interruption. I apologize. We do not have translation assigned to Diana.
okay, one moment. Okay, please give us 1 minute while we assess this. Okay, I see the interpretation is available.
And we're hearing from our interpreter that does not see it yet on her end.
Okay, 1 moment.
For those of you joining us, we apologize for the technical difficulty we're having here with the interpretations. We're trying to get that straightened away. Bear with us for just another minute or so while we figure that out.
Okay.
Okay, we have interpretation. I'll make the announcement again in Spanish since that might have been missed. Buenas noches, hoy contamos con interpretación en español. Para los que están en la llamada que ocupen el audio en español, pueden hacer clic en el icono que se encuentra en la parte interior de su pantalla. Seleccione interpretación y seleccione el español para poder escuchar esta junta en español. Gracias.
Thank you, Jesse. We'll start over with our instructions too. So we can go back a couple slides, please. One more, please. Sorry, go forward once to the code of conduct. Perfect. As a reminder, Metro's code of conduct states Metro is committed to ensuring all participants can fairly and clearly share ideas, comments, and concerns about this project. To provide a safe and equitable process, we are asking for your help. During this meeting, please respect the format of the meeting and allow everyone the opportunity to comment. Treat fellow community members, agency representatives, Metro staff, and others with respect. And address all comments to Metro staff and consultants. One of Metro's campaigns is the Know Your Rights campaign. All immigrants, regardless of status, are entitled to basic rights and protections under the law. Understanding these rights is the first step towards safety, empowerment, and assessing essential resources. Key support services available: free or low-cost legal services, language accessible assistance, resources for navigating immigration issues, protection from fraud, discrimination, and abuse. For more information, go to oia at lacounty.gov. Finally, Metro's D-Line subway extension will be open next month. Our opening date is May 8th, 2026, with new stations located at Wilshire and La Brea, Wilshire and Fairfax, and Wilshire and La Cienega. We hope to see you out on the system. Here is a short clip to give you a sneak peek at the Wilshire and La Cienega station. Once again, thank you for attending tonight's community meeting. Now I'll pass it over to Ron to review tonight's agenda.
Hi, welcome. I'm Ron Macias, Community Relations on the I-105 Express Lanes project. Thank you for being here and joining us today. We appreciate you taking a moment of your time to meet with us to learn about the project and to receive an update on its current status as we discuss the project with you. Tonight, we will present on the I-105 Express Lanes project, this major transportation capital improvements infrastructure project has been well under construction for some time. We have started construction or started performing work activities for this project roughly 16 months ago, actually. This project is designed to be a benefit for all motorists traveling along the I-105 as well as the surrounding communities along the corridor, as this project is intended to improve travel times for all motorists and enhance safety along the freeway. This project is actually just over 50% complete in the first segment of the project. This is the western segment of the freeway corridor. Tonight, we will provide an update on the ongoing construction, upcoming new construction, and particularly in the remaining western segments of the corridor, and we'll inform you of upcoming planned closures as well. And joining me here today are members of the project team, and they will be available to address any questions that you may have. And so we will proceed with the presentation for this meeting. And at this time, I would like to bring up Jesse to provide a project overview.
Thank you, Ron, and good evening, everybody. My name is Jesse Sanchez, Principal Community Relations Officer for the I-05 Express Lanes project. I'll be providing a quick project overview, where we're at now, and some of the work activities to expect. So the project, the 105 Express project will be converting existing HOV lanes in both directions, so east and westbound, from Studebaker on the east all the way to the I-405 on the west. We'll be converting those existing HOV lanes into 2 express lanes in each direction. This will provide more options, access connections for all users of the I-05 corridor. Segment 1, as Ron just mentioned, is under construction and has been for about 16 months now, with segments 2 and 3 starting construction in the middle of this year. It's important a good takeaway from this is that no residential right-of-way properties were acquired for this project. So there is no residential right-of-way impacts as a result. And this is one of the projects that will be funded through Measure M funds. As some of you may remember, Measure M was passed by voters in LA County, many of them also in the project area. So some of the benefits of the project, mainly it will be addressing what we call speed degradation. This means that the current HOV lanes are not operating as intended, with speeds well below 45 miles per hour during peak periods. This will enhance operations and improve trip reliability and travel times for all motorists, including HOVs, van pools, commuters, and transit service to LAX. Also, there will be some safety enhancements. We will be addressing an auxiliary lane gap closure, and this will in turn reduce stop and go traffic, which will by extension also reduce rear end collisions. There will also be less freeway overflow and congestions on local streets. We'll be shifting vehicles back onto the freeway, and this will help improve livability for corridor residents. This just shows some of the data that we have. I'm not going to go through every single bullet there, but basically what this is showing us is that, again, as I mentioned in the previous slide, the HOV lanes are not operating as designed, with speeds well below 45 miles per hour during peak hours in both directions. So HOV lanes are classified as degraded per federal standards. And again, this means that they're operating below 45 miles per hour. This project is expected to also reduce the travel times on general purpose lanes. And now general purpose lanes just means all the non-HOV lanes, or what we call just the regular lanes of the freeway. So these will also help improve travel times on the general purpose lanes. And again, express lane speeds are expected to maintain their travel speeds at above 45 miles per hour. There will also be a number of safety benefits to the project. There will be a new auxiliary lanes between the I-710 and Long Beach Boulevard to improve lane merging. As mentioned earlier, there will be improvements to traffic flow, reducing stop and go traffic, which in turn reduces the the amount of rear end collisions. There will also be updated lane striping, and this will help better visibility during nighttime hours or nighttime driving. There will also be channelizers installed for the buffer zones between the express lanes and the general purpose lanes, and this will help reduce illegal merging while vehicles are traveling through the corridor. And here on the right is just a quick snippet of some local news reports of heavy traffic accidents on the I-105. So this is again well documented, and this is what the project intends to address. Some additional improvements. There will be some new sound walls, most of them with increased heights throughout the corridor. This is in addition to the sound walls that are already there. There will also be the seismic retrofit of the Alameda Viaduct. And lastly, there will be some multimodal improvements. So this project will help fund some of the improvements at the Harbor and Avalon Sea Line stations, which run down the center of the corridor there in the middle of the freeway. They will improve things such as lighting, wayfinding, repair and rehabilitation projects. And all future net toll revenue will be used to fund active transportation, transit, and roadway projects in the local communities along the project alignment. This is what the new lane configuration and dimensions will look like once the project is completed. As you can see, going from the right of your screen to the left, starting out with 2 express lanes, followed by that buffer zone that I just mentioned that will have channelizers to help reduce the number of illegal merging happening in the area. That is then followed by 3 general purpose lanes. Again, general purpose lanes just means the regular lanes. They won't be express lanes, but these are also expected to improve travel times. And then after that, we have the auxiliary lane, which will help with merging on and off the freeway. Again, this is going to help reduce stop and go traffic and in turn help reduce rear end collisions. And then finally, a shoulder lane there all the way to the far left for any kind of, emergency, you got to pull your car over, or maybe you need a tow truck, anything like that. There will be that shoulder lane will be maintained. A little bit about how express lanes will work. I'm going to pull in Philbert Wong to talk a little bit about how the new fast track tolling systems will work.
Okay. I'd like to speak briefly on this. Good evening. My name is Philbert Wong, and I'm the Director of Planning for Metro Express Lanes. If you've used the 10 or 110 express lanes, then the way the 105 express lanes will work will be familiar to you. Like the 10 and the 110 express lanes, we have designated areas where you can enter and exit the express lanes. And these locations will be in about the same places where you can get into and out of the HOV lane currently on the 105. In advance of those areas, we have signage that tells you where you can get in and where you can get out. And we also have pricing signs that tell you what the toll rate is to travel that segment of the express lanes. If you are a qualified carpool, you can travel toll-free, but you do the Metro Express lanes. Well, you don't have the Metro Express lanes, but you do need to have a switchable transponder. And this is a picture of our new transponder. It's about half the size of the old transponder, and there's no battery in there. And so you adjust your switch setting depending on how many persons you have in your vehicle. If you don't have a transponder, you can use the express lanes, but you pay $9 plus the toll. Also, if you have a sticker transponder, you still pay you will pay the toll plus $9 um, because there are no carpool discounts with the sticker transponder. So if you'd like more information on express lanes, you can go to metroexpresslanes.net. We have a number of discount programs there and more information on how they work.
Thank you, Filbert. Now a quick construction update. Here's a timeline, a schedule of the anticipated construction. As you can see, segment 1 in the light blue shaded area started, as Ron mentioned, early work started about 16 months ago. You'll see where the yellow bubble says we are here, it indicates currently where we are in the life of the project. So segment 1, the majority of the work is being conducted on the shoulder for this first part of the work. In the second part of segment 1, the construction work will move to the median area of the freeway to build the new express lanes infrastructure. So we are kind of in that phase now where you'll see the work shift from the outside shoulder area into the median lanes, and you'll start seeing things, again, like the infrastructure for the tolling start to go up. Segment 1 is expected to open or be operational in 2028 in time for the Summer Olympics. And then if you look down at the bottom yellow area, you'll see where segments 2 and segments 3 will begin construction in the middle part of this year. Segment 3 will actually start first, followed shortly thereafter by segment 2. So very quickly, segment 2 is between Central Avenue and the 710 on the east, and then segment 3 continues from the 710 all the way to the end, the terminus of the I-105 there at Studebaker, where you have the option then to merge also to the 605 north or south. And the entirety of the project is expected to be completed in 2029. Some of the work activities that you'll see for this project: roadway pavement construction along the shoulder or the outer edges of the freeway. As mentioned earlier, there will be new and reconstructed sound walls, most of which will have increased heights. There will also be new retaining wall construction, undercrossing and bridge widenings to accommodate some of those lanes. Again, we're now in the second phase of the segment 1 construction, which includes toll infrastructure, equipment, electrical systems, signage, and pavement markings. And then there will also be landscape and tree removal and restoration. So there will be some landscaping that will be removed temporarily to accommodate some of these new lanes, but then will be restored towards, once the pavement and all that has been completed, the repavement has been done. So we will be restoring the landscaping that has been removed from the freeway. All right, and now to talk a little bit more about some more of the construction updates, as well as give us more of a sneak peek on what to expect in segments 2 and 3, I'd like to reintroduce Ron Macias.
Hi, Ron Macias back again. Now I will go into some of the updates on the specific construction activities. As the exhibit shows, the number of sound walls that are under construction, which is part of the first phase of the construction within segment 1 that we're looking to wrap up soon. Here's an exhibit of walls 2. They're actually in various locations, vacant locations, and clustered at the west and also in the east end of the corridor within segment 1. In order to construct new these sound walls and also the associated work with new roadway pavement construction, the sound walls that existed along the freeway have to be removed and then later reconstructed. as part of accommodating the new express lanes and the improvements that are provided by the project. So most of the sound walls that are reconstructed, they're being reconstructed to a taller height than what existed prior. We're talking roughly 4 to 8 feet taller in most cases. And we are constructing new sound walls at certain locations where they did not exist prior to the project. Here, we're just highlighting some locations in the western segment of the Segment 1 corridor, and these are locations of sound wall construction in the city of Inglewood and also in the city of Hawthorne. As is the case for all the sound wall construction in Segment 1, the work actually began roughly in the spring of 2025, where we had to remove the sound wall and then prepare the site and grade the area to prepare for the construction of new sound walls. We have been in this construction phase for some time. So the completion of the actual sound walls, particularly in this segment of the corridor, is anticipated to be constructed by the end of the month of May of this year. And also the constructions on the other areas within the Segment 1 area should be constructed around the summer months or the middle of this year. So the residents will soon see their sound walls return in the area in the near future, which is part of the long-term construction under this first phase of construction. Most of the work has been conducted during the daytime hours, and behind the K rails are concrete barriers that are installed along the freeway to separate the work zone from the public. And so after the actual completion of these sound walls that we're talking about here, new roadway pavement construction will continue and will be completed as part of this long-term construction. And here you see an exhibit of a typical section of sound wall construction with all of the completed improvements that the project will bring and the final lane configuration that the project will construct. You see the Metro C-Line guideway there. There at the outer edges of the freeway, we are moving the old sound wall back out farther to accommodate the new roadway pavement construction for the accommodation of the project improvements and the new express lanes. And this type of construction is occurring at locations along the corridor where the roadway or the freeway is high and elevated and above the community. These are locations where there are hillside slopes leading down toward the community at the outer edges of the freeway, which this typical exhibit reflects. As mentioned, we have some work activities involving various undercrossings and bridges to support new roadway pavement construction at a number of locations. These locations of this type of construction are depicted here in these exhibits. We have bridge undercrossings in the city of Inglewood/Hawthorne area, and then we have a number of them, roughly 5 in the city of LA. Work began for the first set of bridges roughly around the spring of 2025. Most of the work activities related to this construction most of it is done during the day and behind concrete barriers along the freeway. There are occasional nighttime work activities for work related to the structures within the city of LA, as it is necessary to close the street in certain locations for particular work activities during the daytime hours, which is to safely perform certain work activities that are directly above the street. And here are some progress photos for the ongoing construction of the undercrossing there at Avalon Boulevard. One photo shows the footing under construction for the abutment or the end support structures of the undercrossing bridge. And the other image is showing some concrete work being performed for that undercrossing there at Avalon Boulevard. And again, here is another photo of the Avalon Boulevard undercrossing, which is actually an aerial drone footage of the work zone on both sides of the freeway. There you see on the south side of the freeway, the work has concrete barriers in place on city streets to maintain work zones. in the area, which is very active. And there's the placement of bridge support structures or false work installed to support the bridge or the undercrossing while it is under long-term construction. Also, as mentioned, we have retaining walls being constructed at various locations along the freeway as part of the new roadway pavement construction. Work started roughly around the spring of 2025 for the start of the construction for these walls. Most of the work is being performed during the daytime hours behind concrete barriers. There are some occasional nighttime work that is necessary, as there are occasionally the need to close freeway lanes in order to perform certain work activities. And this slide is presented to demonstrate a typical location along the freeway where retaining walls are being constructed within the Segment 1 area. This is a section along the freeway where they are being constructed between Fairmount Avenue and Crenshaw Boulevard, as most of the retaining walls within Segment 1 are being constructed. And again, Segment 1 is between Sepulveda Boulevard to Central Avenue, which is just east of the 110 freeway. And there you see at the top image is a typical representation of where the work is being performed along hillsides that are located along the interior of the freeway corridor. And this is where retaining walls, as well as new roadway pavement construction and improvements being built by the project, are being built right into the hillside at these locations. And here in this typical location, the freeway is at a lower level and of a lower elevation from the top of the hillside where the community is located. So this is a roughly typical location of where these retaining walls are under construction. And here you see an exhibit of a typical representation for work activities involving retaining wall construction. You see the construction equipment in the center of this image, with traffic on one side rather, and then on just the left part of the image, which the work is being behind protective barriers along the freeway, and the work is being directed against and along the hillside. And then the center of the image, you see construction equipment, which there is an excavator digging into the hillside and removing the soil and the earth to eventually construct a new retaining wall against the hillside, which is the first dotted vertical line there you see. And here is another exhibit of a typical cross-section, kind of similar to the one shown earlier, but this is for retaining wall construction as it is in essence inverse of the other image. In this case, this construction is performed where the freeway elevation is much lower and below the elevation of the community, with the hillside slope leading up from the freeway to the community. Here, as stated, the retaining walls are at the outer edges and constructed into the hillside to accommodate the completed improvements of the project. And there you see the final lane configuration, as well as the Metro C line train guideway there in the center. The project continues to implement traffic control as part of and in support of facilitating the building of these project improvements. There is a need to implement some traffic restrictions in order to perform construction and to build the project improvements, which are usually being done when we implement this traffic control during the nighttime hours. However, to date, most work activities have been conducted during the daytime hours and within work zones behind concrete barriers without the need for traffic control. But however, we do on a regular basis implement traffic control during the late nighttime hours at intermittent locations along the corridor. We typically have the closure of some freeway lanes to facilitate ongoing construction, and also the closure of ramps and connector ramps implemented intermittently for closures throughout the corridor to support the overall work. There are instances on occasion where the project implements directional closures along the freeway This entails the closure of the freeway in one direction of travel during the late night hours. We performed this in the early stages of construction, where we implemented a series of closures in one direction of the freeway to support lane restriping to establish work zones. This was to maintain the existing amount of lanes during construction so traffic can operate as normal during the long-term constructions. And this was conducted well in advance of construction. And we implemented this similar type of closure when we had to remove overhead signs that span the freeway. And there you see this activity on the image to the right, where work crews removed this sign span along the freeway, which necessitated a directional closures. And also, we have a major upcoming project development involving weekend extended closures of the freeway. The project will need to implement a series of extended lane closures in one direction of travel over a series of weekends to safely perform some critical work activities for the project. These closures involve the closure of the inside center lanes in one direction over entire weekends. And these closures are anticipated to be conducted starting in the spring of this year, which is right about now, and will continue to be implemented on an intermittent basis through early 2027. The first extended closure is anticipated actually this weekend, April 25th to the 26th. And it's being implemented. It's going to be a two-lane closure in the westbound direction, roughly around Western Avenue in the segment 1 area. And this work is to facilitate the relocation of power lines for the Metro C line that operates there at the Sitter Guideway there, as you can see in the photo there. We are targeting a second closure in the month of May. This date is not confirmed at this time. This is intended to be the start of a multiple series of closures pertaining to sign structure work at the center median of the freeway that we anticipate to implement until early 27. We are targeting the date of May 16th to 17th, but that is not confirmed at this time. We will certainly inform the community if this date is in fact confirmed, but that is a tentative date at this time. And thereafter, the World Cup is upon us. We will certainly take a break and not intend to implement any of these type of closures during this World Cup season. But after the World Cup, the project anticipates implementing the continuation of these weekend extended lane closures to support the sign structure work. And as always, we have to keep stating and repeating construction schedules and work times are subject to change, whether it's due to weather conditions, the progress of work activities, or other issues. Construction schedules are subject to change. And just so the public is aware, with respect to this upcoming weekend closure, we are forming a great deal of stakeholders regarding these closures. For an example, we're coordinating with the LAX airport and many other freeway operators that include the trucking associations, operators of the ports of LA and Long Beach, which moves a great deal of goods and products throughout the corridor, and contacting major destination venues in the area, and also the commuting public and the stakeholders in the local area. And the photo there just shows the location of this first closure as it is related to the construction there along the outer edge of the freeway into the hillside there for the construction of the retaining wall. And again, as a result of this closure is necessary to relocate the power cables at this location for the Metro C line as the train is located in the center guideway there. As Jesse stated, the project is in the somewhat near future will begin construction in the segments 2 and 3 area, which is the western area of the corridor. Much of the construction will be very similar to what is being performed in the segment 1 area as part of the project. we will continue to construct new roadway pavement constructions in this part of the corridor as well to accommodate the project improvements and the new express lanes. The other work activities which are being constructed or performed in conjunction with new roadway pavement construction will entail sound walls and new sound walls and reconstructed sound walls. Reconstructed sound walls, many of them will have a taller height than what existed prior. And the construction of these sound walls are primarily in the segment 2 area. Also, we have a number of undercrossings and bridges that will be under construction as well. These activities will be performed in the segment 2 area as well, which is again between Central Avenue and the I-710. And then we also have retaining wall construction as well, which is primarily done in the segment 3 area only. So in advance of the start of major construction, there will be some minor pre-construction activities that are anticipated to begin very soon. These are just being done in preparation and in advance of major construction in the segments 2 and 3 area. This entails such activities as utility relocation, freeway field investigatory and surveying activities, and also there will be pre-construction surveys of local streets and the properties in the area as well. In addition, also in advance of the start of major construction in the area, there will be some early prep work that will begin at the location of Alameda Street and Imperial Highway. A number of various utilities will have to be relocated in this area in advance of major work that is related to the retrofitting and widening of the Alameda Street Viaduct, which is a very large and long overhead freeway structure in the area. In order to perform all of the work activities and the construction in the area, there will be a need to perform the implementation of a long-term traffic reconfiguration or lane reductions along Imperial Highway throughout the entirety of construction at this location. Also, as part of the overall construction on the corridor, there will be new auxiliary lanes added, which is to promote safer traffic movements for motorists that are exiting and entering the freeway. And in addition, merge lanes for the new express lanes near the location of the I-710, which is also to promote smoother traffic movements for motorists entering and exiting the express lanes. And here you see an exhibit sketch of work activities along the corridor in a section of the segment 2 area, which is the area just west of the city of Linwood. We're talking this particular area is between Central Avenue and Alameda Street. Central Ave is just east of the I-110, and there you see quite a number of work activities here, which entails sound wall construction, sound wall reconstruction, and also a number of undercrossings or bridges that will be performed at various locations, as you see in this exhibit. And here, just traveling slightly east, still within the segment 2 area, this is exclusively the city of Linwood area. Here we have the same type of work activities that will be performed all throughout this corridor. Again, a number of sound wall reconstruction activities, again, most with a taller height. Some new sound walls being constructed in the area, and also a number of undercrossing or bridges that will be under construction at this section of the corridor. And as we move further east, as mentioned, retaining walls are constructed at various locations in the segment 3 area. This particular section of the corridor primarily only has retaining walls that will be constructed, and it would be located between the 710 freeway and Studebaker Road, which is near the I-605 freeway. And the image at the top, again, is a typical image showing where such work activities are being performed into and against the hillside. So I'll just wrap up. So this is what you can expect regarding the overall work activities and improvements in the segment 2 and 3 areas. In the eastern areas of the corridor, we will look to release more information, specific information with respect to construction timelines, construction details for the various activities at the locations within the segments 2, 3 areas. So more information on this is to come. And at this point, I will turn it over to Jesse to talk a little bit more about our community outreach and engagement efforts.
Oh, thank you, Ron. Yeah, I'm very quickly just go over some of the type of outreach and engagement that we have been conducting for this project. And you can see here it's quite a bit. So we do coordinate with key stakeholders in the area for segment 1. Good examples of that would be, for example, LAWA, LAX. We call them the big 3 venues at Hollywood Park, I'm sorry, which is SoFi, Intuit Dome, and the Kia Forum. We also target community groups for briefings. We send out construction updates and community meeting mailers. So many of you on the call may have received one in the mail through snail mail, or you may have received one through our email campaign. We also distribute construction notice ahead of any scheduled work. And this is handled in many ways, either a hard copy, distribution. Again, we leverage our email distribution lists, websites, and social media accounts. And then in some instances, we do direct mail or door-to-door distribution. We're also attending community events, coordinate with our Metro Public Relations Department, media buys whenever necessary. We also maintain and regularly check our project hotline, email, and websites. And those are routinely, again, checked and updated as needed. And then lastly, we also coordinate with local elected official offices, city briefings, where we provide project updates. Again, some more stakeholder coordination. We get concurrence from city councils and any kind of construction mitigation that they may be seeking. So there's a number of ways that we are getting the word out, engaging the community in regards to this project. Some of you may have even seen us. There's a picture of me there on the right handing out, as I mentioned, door to door, handing actual hard copies of these construction notices. And then there at the bottom, that was us attending one of the community events that was hosted there. I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, I think that was the city of Linwood. But we are out there. We are getting the word out, and through the very many channels that are available to us. And so, yeah, we want to make sure we do a good job at making sure that we keep the community informed, and that we address any issues or any concerns as they arise.
Just to clarify,
Thank
Jesse,
you.
we're actually
Yes.
in the Watts community on
Watts.
that day.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Just to
All
clarify.
right. No, thank you. That's it. So that's in the city of Watts. Sorry, in the community of Watts. But like I said, we will be, as we approach construction, commencement of construction in segments 2 and 3, we will be more active in those communities, in those prospective segments. So look out for us. We will be there, either boots on the ground or through our many channels, right? Online, mail, things like that. So thank you all very much. That concludes my portion of the presentation. I know we have some questions that we want to get to, so I'm going to let Tyra go ahead and wrap it up so that we can get to the Q&A. Thank you all very much for joining us. And Tyra, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Jesse. We are now at the Q&A portion. Again, please feel free to submit questions via the Q&A icon on your screen. So our first question has come in, and it is, on average, how many people are benefiting from the express lanes in the 110 and the 10 freeway among low-income communities? When taking the 110 freeway after 2 p.m., there is ongoing traffic and very few cars are using the express lanes. Philbert, could you speak to this question?
Yes, I'll speak to this. So this is a two-part question. Part of it is asking what the usages and benefits of the low-income assistance plan. And it's also asking what the usage will be and the benefits of the Express Lanes project. So I'll start with the benefits to the 105. So we do traffic studies to see what we think the benefit will be, what the travel time savings are, and the usage of the project will be. And we see that there will be a lot of usage of the express lanes, and that's mainly because of the congestion that is on the 105 today. When you go out there, we showed some traffic numbers earlier that showed if you're going end to end eastbound, that's going to, and you're taking the regular general purpose lanes, that's going to take you about 65 minutes. And we know this because we we do travel time runs, which means we have a car that drives from one end to the other, and we see how long it's going to take. And it takes about 65 minutes to go 16 miles in the afternoon, and the peak period lasts. It starts building around 1 to 2 p.m. and it usually doesn't subside until 7 to 8 p.m. So we're looking at about a 6 hour plus congestion period. And so because of the slow traffic and demand, we think that there are a lot of people who will value that time savings and choose to use the express lanes. The express lanes will operate at more than 45 miles per hour, of about 19 miles an hour to over 45 miles an hour. So it's a very significant time savings that we think people will choose to use. So the second part of that question is related to the low-income assistance plan. And I have some text that I pulled from the environmental documents. So maybe we can, maybe Tyra, if you can share that text. It has some data on low-income assistance plan usage that we analyzed. And essentially, and you can actually, we see that low-income assistance users are using it on a per account level more than non-low-income assistance plan users. And as a matter of fact, they're paying to use it at a higher rate than regular account users. So we think there's a clear benefit to the low-income assistance users, and that is defined as earning less than twice the federal poverty level. And not only are they using it as a carpool, but they're also paying to use the express lanes as single occupant drivers. So
Thank you, Filbert, and I've shared the text with everyone in the chat. Next question is, how tall will the sound walls be in segment 3?
Yes, I can address that question. We are actually not constructing sound walls in the segment 3 area. Sound wall construction was primarily constructed in the segment 2 area only. So we will not be touching the sound walls in the segment 3 area. In the segment 3 area, the sound walls are at the very top of the hillside slope. So we are building retaining walls at the lower elevation of the freeway, build the retaining walls, and performing roadway pavement construction into the hillside. Our work activities do not travel that far up the slope that will require the reconstruction of the sound wall. So the sound wall height will remain as is. They will not be reconstructed. They will not be touched at all. The sound walls that exist today will remain as is per the project.
Thank you, Ron. Next question, still touching on segment 3. They state, in segment 3, the Garfield Avenue to Gardendale Street, there are a number of trees and the hillside slopes towards Somerset Ranch. How many feet of the land will be removed to expand the freeway? Will changes be made to Somerset Ranch?
That is a specific location. We will probably have to get back to you on that. I'm not sure if the project team has any information with respect to that specific location. Oftentimes, we will remove a landscape at certain locations to perform our work activities. The project will replace the landscaping. Um, but if the project team, anyone has any specific information on that, uh, please state so, but we could look into that specific location and get back to you with the answers to your questions regarding that particular location.
Hey, Ron, this is James Wei. I can just answer part of that question. We're not modifying Somerset Ranch Road. All our work is between Somerset and the freeway itself.
Okay. Thank you, James. Thank you, Ron, for addressing that. Next question. How will the expansion increase the number of cars accessing the freeway?
Gilbert, will you be able to address that question?
I think the question is, how will this impact local arterials? I think is what this question is getting at. And because of the time savings that the express lanes will provide, and there'll be a little bit of benefit to the general purpose lanes, that there will be a shift of vehicles back onto the freeway. Also, we can say this because we analyze intersections and a number of intersections in the corridor with and without the project. And overall, the amount of delay at those intersections that we've studied, it decreases. And we would attribute that to the shifting of vehicles from arterials back onto the 105.
Thank you, Filbert. Next question says, has research been conducted how this will impact the pollution in the area with the possibility of an increase in cars using the freeway?
Yeah, so I'll take that. So in our environmental impact report, we did do an extensive and detailed air quality analysis. And the air quality analysis determined that there would be no significant impact by the project to air quality in the study area.
Okay. Thank you. And then, when are the express lanes anticipated to open?
Yes, the first segment 1, between Sepulveda and Central Avenue. We will have the express lanes open by the Olympics 2028. The remaining segments 2 and 3, which are undergoing construction a little later, we anticipate having express lanes in operations in those segments of the corridor by 2029, late 2029.
Thank you, Ron. Next question asks, can the research report be shared with the community? Filbert, I think that was with regards to the research you spoke about.
Yeah, let me get the link. It's on the Metro webpage, but I'll get the link and share that here.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Next question asks, how is it impacting the noise level they are or will hear on a daily basis? Has the construction impacted, or how will it impact the communities living next to the work areas?
Yes, we do attempt to the extent possible provide mitigations to reduce the sound of construction. in the area of the local residents. We do what we can, implementing such noise control measures as sound blankets when feasible. We have been performing most of the work activities during the daytime hours, so that helps as opposed to having the work done during the nighttime hours. But the project team does take active steps to work to reduce the impacts of construction noise due to the work activities that we are performing for the project.
Thank you, Ron, and thank you everyone for all the questions you've submitted. At this time, it is 7 o'clock, so we thank you for attending this community meeting. And if you look at the screen on the next slide, please take a look at the screen to see ways you can keep up with the project and LA Metro as a whole. Thank you and have a good evening.